For me, the protagonist of Ridley Walker is language itself. And it's a difficult language too. It's a dystopian imagining of a future version of the Kentish dialect. It's all harsh consonants, muddied vowels, lexical transformations. At first it seems almost unrecognisable, unreadable. But gradually, somehow, you learn it. So Ridley Walker's language in some sense seems to be renegotiating that post-Saussurean edict that the relationship between words and the things they represent, between the signifier and the signified, is somehow arbitrary. It's an accident of evolution. But in this language, we find ourselves looking for connections between the two. So contemporary terms assume new meanings, and even the place names, while recognisable, have this kind of beguiling and very amusing wordplay. So a doggett is Dargate, a Dover becomes do it over, sandwich is my personal favourite, becomes Sam's itch, and the River Stour, seeping its way through the radioactive tundra that was once the Garden of England, becomes, well, appropriately enough, the River Sour. You see what I mean? So you could even argue, you could argue, but you're going to annoy some linguists, but yeah, who cares, that the clipped consonants and the harsh diphthongs themselves seem somehow to come to represent the hard, jagged contours of this new world. So the reader's forced to slow down, to take part in, just like Ridley is taking part, Ridley the narrator, in a process of making sense, making meaning out of a seemingly at first incoherent written language. It's not incoherent, or it's not so incoherent that you can't see through it, but if we imagine language as a window through which we see in the imagined worlds of literature, fiction, then this particular window is extremely deformed, cracked, even stained glass. It's hard to peer through it, but you can peer through, and as you work harder, it gets easier to see through. And this sensation the reader has of coming to terms with new connections between word and meaning, between the discourse of the novel and the story world which it builds in the imagination of the reader, those themes chime precisely with the central theme of the book. So a new fracturing discourse is eroded into being to represent a new fractured age. And this in the end is the novel's great triumph. It teaches you how to read it without you realising that you're being taught. And that's really something. Fair play, Russell.